Welcome to NACTV Reads the News. My name is Gwen Jacobsen, and I'm one of many volunteers that help create programming for our station. NACTV can be seen on MTS Channel 30 or 1030, Westman Cable Channel 17, Bell Satellite Channel 592, or online at nactv.tv. These programs are made possible by our volunteers, staff, advertisers, as well as donations made by you, the viewers. If you are enjoying your NACTV experience, please consider supporting us by either donation or volunteering. You can contact our office at 204-476-2639 or at nactv@wcgwave.ca. This week's edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press is dated Friday, September the 15th, 2023. On the front page this week, it is a great picture of a new facility that just opened in Minnedosa, the Sunrise Credit Union Center by Owen Devereaux. After 15 years, hundreds of meetings, thousands of emails, 4 mayors, 5 premiers, and dozens of naysayers, we did it. Those words spoken by Minnedosa Regional Events Center, or as they call it, MREC, co-chair Scott Burgess, a good summation of what a community can do when they've collectively dedicated themselves to a goal. In the case of Minnedosa, the goal in question was the construction of a brand new state-of-the-art arena and entertainment complex. The years of commitment from the community were celebrated during the grand opening of the newly christened Sunrise Credit Union Place. Several hundred people came out to see inside the regional rec facility for the very first time on Saturday, September the 9th. And it goes on to say, construction of the Regional Event Center located on the Minnedosa Agricultural Grounds began in early 2022. The building itself is 3,876 square meters or 40,902 square feet in size and features a full NHL-sized ice surface, 5 team dressing rooms, 1 on-ice officials change room, and a custom-built ammonia ice-making system. Away from the rink, there is also a fully operational and licensed kitchen, upper and lower level viewing areas, multi-purpose conference spaces, elevator and indoor walking track. The seating features individual plastic chairs as opposed to bench seating. Individual seating capacity is at just under 400, though there is ample standing room space around the ice, which increases the capacity to nearly 1,000. As for the seats themselves, they are completely refurbished from the former home of the Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the Canad Inns Stadium. The total budget for the project is around $9.3 million, though not all of that has yet been spent. A portion of the budget is still to go towards an expansion and paving of the parking lot and roadway, which will be done in 2024. While providing a tour of the building to the Banner and Press just before the grand opening, Chief Administrative Officer James Doppler noted that the complex now gives Minnedosa the ability to vie for several different types of events, such as premier sports, agriculture, or trade shows. As for the ceremonies connected to the opening, they featured several special acknowledgements. Former MREC committee co-chair John Lewis, who passed away while construction was underway, was honored posthumously. Lewis, who was an incredible advocate for Minnedosa and sports within the community, has had the roadway leading up to Sunrise Credit Union renamed in his honor. It will now be known as John Lewis Way. The Lewis family unveiled the signage during a ceremony immediately after this arena's ribbon cutting. Scott Burgess, who worked with Lewis as a co-chair of the committee, said there was no one who deserves this more than John. John deserved this. He was a driving force on making today a reality. Another individual receiving recognition is former MLA and Cabinet Minister Harold Gillshammer, who will receive an honorary plaque near the entryway of the building. A former teacher within the community, Gillshammer was first elected in 1988 and served in a number of cabinet portfolios. He retired from the legislature in 2003. This honor was first announced back in 2021. After the ceremonies commenced, Minnedosa Mayor Ken Cameron spoke with the banner and press and acknowledged those who preceded him as mayor and on council for working to make this day happen. He added, "This building is a place the people of Minnedosa and the surrounding MNRM of Minto O'Donnell take pride in. With this facility, you can see the possibilities, which to me are endless. We could host any type of events, but it's more than that. You see the kids in there already, running around the walking track, playing volleyball inside. What a great place to see and kids have fun. But it's even more than that. It's a Class A facility, and I'm proud to see it here in this community and surrounding region," said Cameron. As for what's left to do to get the Sunrise Credit Union Center ready for winter, the installation of the ice is expected to begin on September the 18th and should be fully operational for the first week of October. And here there's an interior view of the arena with the ice surface will be here, and here's all the seating. And as they said, there's tons of seating around the boards area. And on this lower and upper level, there is some seating there too. I went to the opening myself, and it's absolutely beautiful. And here's a picture of the family of the late John Lewis family, who were honored by the unveiling of John Lewis Way. All right, on the next page we have Home Hardware and Tree Canada, Plant for the Future by Casper Werhan. A set of new natural adornments now decorate Pool Street, connected to Mill Street in Neepawa. Visitors to that part of town may have noticed them, rows of freshly planted trees lining the boulevard. These trees were planted by Home Hardware in partnership with Tree Canada, cooperating with the town of Neepawa. Manager of Operations Denis Segwe and Neepawa Home Hardware owner Michelle Gerard met with Ken Fosty, Community Advisor with Tree Canada, on September 11th to recognize their 2023 accomplishments. I'm pleased to be here today to celebrate this tree planting event and recognize a grant of $3,000 from Neepawa Home Hardware Building Center, said Fosty. Home Hardware is one of Tree Canada's oldest sponsors. Since our partnership began over 31 years ago, we have planted over 30,000 trees, and Home Hardware has contributed over $1 million across Canada towards tree planting efforts. This is the 9th year that Neepawa's Home Hardware has partnered with Tree Canada, aiding in their mission to plant trees across Canada to create green spaces and establish permanent tree cover throughout rural and urban communities. Since its start in 1992, Tree Canada has planted over 84 million trees. This year, a total of 23 Home Hardware stores across Canada are participating in the initiative. I have a huge appreciation for Home Hardware for doing this, said Segwe. It's great for the community. Gerard added, there's a lot of new areas being developed in our community and some old trees that have been removed. So this helps replenish that number as well as adds to the community. I'm so happy to continue our partnership each year. This addition to the community and environment will add to Neepawa's beauty for years to come. Banner and press. Fire Safety 2023. Let's say thanks to our volunteers. On October the 6th, we are thrilled to once again publish our fire safety feature. This addition to our newspaper is designed to shine a spotlight on the extraordinary fire departments and the brave individuals who selflessly devote their lives and time for our safety and shielding our homes during times of crisis. Join us as we pay homage to these unsung heroes and express our heartfelt gratitude for their unwavering commitment to protecting our community. Whether you are looking to promote your business or spread awareness with a public service announcement, your contribution can help us make it bigger and better. Don't miss this opportunity to be a part of something impactful and meaningful. Let's create something extraordinary together. Now, the Roxy Theatre coming up, September 15th and 16th. The show featured is called Oppenheimer, the story of an American scientist, J. Robert Oppenheimer, and his role in the development of the atomic bomb. 14A. Showtime, 7:30 p.m. The one after that is September 22nd and 23rd. Again, the showtime is at 7:30 p.m. and the featured movie is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem. Okay, let's go here. Helen Drysdale, out of Helen's Kitchen. This week she is featuring pears, the fruit pears. Pears, originating in Eastern Asia, worldwide, have over 3,000 varieties. They vary in size, shape, sweetness, and crispness. Although pears mature on the tree, they ripen best off the tree. Pears are picked by hand due to their ability to bruise easily. A medium pear has about 100 calories. Pears have a natural affinity with cheeses and go well in salads and sandwiches. Anjou pears are well suited for baking, poaching, or roasting and eating raw. Anjou pears have a mild flavor and a firm texture while still being sweet and juicy. They have a short neck, a bell-shaped body, and can be green or red, but the color doesn't indicate any flavor difference. Bartlett pears, the most common pear worldwide, is bell-shaped, sweet, and soft with a light green skin that turns yellow when ripe. Bartlett pears are high on the juicy side of the scale, and because of this, they lose their shape when cooked and tend to turn mushy. They are best eaten raw. Bosc pears, B-O-S-C, have an elegant elongated shape with a slender neck and a brownish russet skin. They're highly aromatic and hold their shape well when sliced into dishes like a salad or baked, making them a good choice for various cooking projects. Ripe pears store well in the refrigerator for 5 to 7 days. To ripen pears at home, store on the counter in a dry paper bag and check daily for ripeness, as it can take up to a week to get to its perfect to eat stage. And this week, Helen has 3 recipes. The first one, gluten-free pear crumble, pear oatmeal muffins, and baked pears. Sounds delicious. Right, Your Listening Ear by Delcy Martin. This week she features ADHD in women, misunderstood and misdiagnosed. Girls are diagnosed with ADHD at under half the rate of boys, but interestingly, in adulthood, they are diagnosed at the same rate. Childhood is just one of the diagnosis points for ADHD, but it is often missed in young girls because there are differences in its presentation. Girls have, for the most part, been socialized to present themselves to the world in a way that is appealing for everyone else, to be modest and not outspoken, to be seen and not heard. Childhood ADHD screeners were developed and largely based on symptomology presenting in young boys like hyperactivity, trouble in school, or oppositional behaviors. Due to the socialization of our girls, we see hyperactivity internalized to have a hyperactive brain, which is often mistaken for anxiety. The internalization of the hyperactivity can present as an internal restlessness, also mistaken for anxiety. Girls tend to do better in school because they have created an internal state of anxiety causing them to overcompensate in their studies, but can look like them having to work a lot harder than most for modest or above average grades. So many ADHD diagnoses are overlooked because the child is by all measures successful, but internally their brain is on fire. Some women struggle with clumsiness and disorientation because folks with ADHD have too low levels of dopamine in their brain, and sometimes this occurs in parts of the brain that regulate movement. They are accused of being ditzy, interrupting, and daydreaming. Well, guess what? Also, ADHD symptoms. Other behaviors that folks with ADHD present with are stimulating behaviors, also called stimming, which help with mood regulation and are often unconscious and difficult to control. These can be fidgeting, skin picking, hair pulling, nail biting, chewing on things, or making rhythmic sounds. Internally, having ADHD as a female can feel like this overwhelming extra where your thoughts are so rapid that it's hard to pick through them. One more task added to a growing list could send you over the edge. You feel embarrassed to have people over because of all the doom piles of random things, resulting in shame for feeling like a failure as a housekeeper. You hyperfixate on things that interest you and dismiss anything that doesn't. Many women are diagnosed after having children because children add so much extra to an already overwhelmed and dopamine-starved brain, resulting in difficulty regulating emotions, irritability, and a complete exhaustion at the end of the day, even when it feels like you've done nothing. Another misdiagnosis point is menopause, where we see changes in hormone levels. These are just the beginning of several symptoms to watch for in diagnosing ADHD. ADHD needs to be diagnosed by a doctor, and I want to encourage you to seek out further testing if you suspect this is what you are coping with. ADHD is treatable, and even if you feel like you've been successful in your life thus far, you are still deserving of help. You are deserving of understanding, empathy, dignity, and treatment. Delcy Martin has a BA, a BSW, an MSW, and an RSW. She is a registered social worker, private practice therapist, and business owner of True You Therapy and Wellness Services. Visit her at www.trueyoutherapy.ca. Anyone who may have feedback on the column or wish to have a question anonymously answered as part of the weekly column may reach Martin at delcymartin@trueyoutherapy.ca. Martin's podcast, The Relationship Review with Delcy Martin, can be found on Acast, Apple, Amazon, Google, and Spotify podcast platforms. Now, in the Rural Outlook section, we have an article about the upcoming Terry Fox Run. It returns to Neepawa on September the 17th by Casper Werhon. In April of 1980, Canadian icon Terry Fox began his Marathon of Hope, raising money for cancer research. Each day of the campaign, Fox added a day-long marathon to his cross-country trek, until one day he couldn't run anymore. His race ended in Thunder Bay, Ontario, in September that year. So now every September his marathon continues via the thousands of communities that plan runs, both in his memory and in support of the cause. To date, $850 million has been raised, funding over 1,300 research projects. Neepawa's years of support are well embedded in the community, with last year's event breaking local records. Following changes due to COVID-19 in previous years and a return to normal last year, the 2022 event raised a grand total of $10,000. In addition, there were more than 115 participants. The Neepawa community is keeping up its tradition of support. This weekend, on September 17th, all are welcome to the NACI track to participate in a local walk in honor of Fox. Registration will begin at 1:30 p.m., with the walk itself getting a kickstart at 2 p.m. Now, there's two RCMP articles. Spruce Plains RCMP report is first by Sergeant David Taggart. In the month of August, the Spruce Plains area attended 347 occurrences. 2 of the occurrences were impaired drivers. Speeder of the month. There were several contenders in this category. First place goes to a Saskatchewan driver for speeding 162 in a 100 zone in the RM of Minnedosa. Charity and donation scam. A scammer contacts you to ask for a donation to a charity, association, or religious cause. The scammer uses high-pressure tactics to get you to donate immediately. The charity may not exist, or the scammer may not actually be associated with it. To avoid charity scams, ask for information in writing before making a donation. You can also check that the charity is registered with the Canada Revenue Agency at 1-800-267-2384. If you would like to donate to a disaster relief campaign, we recommend you visit the Red Cross. And the other article is about a collision. On September 7th, at approximately 11:35 a.m., Spruce Plains RCMP received a report that a semi-trailer transporting farm equipment had been lodged under the Canadian Pacific Railway overpass on Highway 10 near Minnedosa in the RM of Minnedosa. Officers responded and observed that the farm equipment loaded on the semi-trailer was too high and collided with the bridge, causing the semi to become stuck. The Minnedosa Fire Department also responded to assist. A tow company was called to clear the vehicle and free up the lane. CP Railway was called, so they were aware of the incident and could examine and ensure the integrity of the bridge. Traffic in the area was affected for approximately 2 hours. Nobody was injured in the incident, and the damage to the bridge appears minor. The investigation continues. All right. Education Matters, Student Presence and Engagement, submitted by the Beautiful Plains School Division. The Manitoba Department of Education has provided guidelines to school divisions to formulate a policy regarding students attending school regularly and participating in their educational experiences as required by law. The department calls it an action plan to enhance student presence and engagement. Absenteeism has long been a concern, as it has been widely accepted that it is critical students be present in schools to get a quality education. Being present when attendance was taken was a rite of passage every morning. Students would say present or here in response to their name being called. But time and circumstances have blurred the lines and the importance of being present. During the pandemic, pupils were not present in the traditional sense, and even as we moved out of COVID protocols, students were encouraged to stay home if they were feeling cold or flu-like symptoms. While some students excelled during the pandemic with at-home or online instructions, Most students did not do well mentally, socially, or academically. However, it did open the door to discussions about the value of being physically in the desks for some. It also brought into question whether simply being in the classroom is enough to fully engage students and whether attendance is really that important. But as time goes on, it has become increasingly evident that students who are not present are more likely to be disengaged and disconnected from both their peers and their schoolwork. This creates a lack of belonging, which often leads to mental health issues, and students look elsewhere for fulfillment. The Manitoba government has reiterated that attendance and engagement in the classroom are important and need to be emphasized and recorded. Divisions and schools have been tasked with the job of monitoring attendance and intervening when unexcused absenteeism becomes chronic or severe. These will be flagged in the reporting process, and the provincial directive is that a student-specific plan will be created. While there are excused absences that are unavoidable, it should be noted that students, schools, and the community need to work together to help students reach their full potential at school. Students should be supported in recognizing that missing school involves missing important instruction, classroom discussions, social opportunities, and assessment practices. Parents and schools need to work together to emphasize the importance of student presence and engagement. Schools need to continue to make sure there are welcoming and inclusive facilities where students are engaged in their learning. The community as a whole needs to continue to recognize that attending school is a priority. When sports groups, medical professionals, and service industries try to accommodate whenever possible to make appointments, practices, and games after school hours, these all support the success of our students. Together we can work towards having the best possible education for our children, who are the future of our communities. For further information, you can look up the presence and engagement policy on the Beautiful Plains School Division website. What we all want is to ensure that every student gets the education they will need to help them with the next steps in their lives. All right, the next article is by Casper Werhan. It's entitled, "I'll Never Forget That Person Who Gave Me Warmth. Small Act of Kindness Sparks Local Winter Initiative to Welcome Newcomers." Adjusting to Canada's winter weather is no easy task. That's why a new initiative is looking to give Neepawa's newcomers a warm welcome, literally. A brand new non-profit organization known as the Neepawa Newcomers Coat Room, or NNCR, is currently gearing up to provide any newcomers experiencing/preparing to experience their first Canadian winter with their very own winter coat free of charge. Initial discussion for the program began in late 2022 with a 4-member board, social media, a team of volunteers, a donated location, and a stock of coats all coming together by August of 2023. After all this hard work, the NNCR is set to open at the Prairie Alliance Church at 155 Main Street West in Neepawa on October the 21st and October the 28th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. Appointments for these dates are not necessary but would be appreciated. Following these dates, it will be open by appointment only. Liesl Milligan, NNCR board member, told the Neepawa Banner and Press that this all sparked from one small act. It all came from giving one coat away to a newcomer. Years later, he commented, "I'll never forget that person who gave me warmth," Liesl shared. Looking back, that act of kindness was so impactful on both of us. It grew from there, and I eventually wondered how more newcomers could be reached, because eventually my network gets too small. She added, "It's having that empathy too of what newcomers are going through, not just the cultural shock, but the climate change shock is a real thing too. For example, we know from our census that most of our newcomers are Filipino. Their climate shock is about as extreme as it can be. To expand on Milligan's statement, a quick search shows that the average winter temperature in the Philippines rarely drops before 20 Celsius. The island's annual mean temperature is 27 Celsius. Canadian winters, meanwhile, experience weather on the total opposite side of the scale. Temperatures can linger between -5 and -15 Celsius, or even dip to -20, -30, or lower, especially when factoring in the wind chill. In addition to easing climate shock, the NNCR also hopes to provide a winter welcome package for their newcomers. The idea of these packages is to highlight some of the winter activities available in and around the community, showing that winter can be enjoyable. You can thrive in winter. I still have to wrap my head around it, but I want to highlight community things that are going on in the winter, like our outdoor trails and rink, Milligan explained. Those things that people would naturally come across, but in those first years you're trying to adjust, you don't know what's out there. Getting those in their hands right away and providing some encouragement. According to Milligan, the community's response to this initiative has been incredible. NNCR has been working closely with Neepawa and Area Immigrant Settlement Services, Neepawa Community Ministries Center, or the Salvation Army, and Filipino Canadians of Neepawa and Area, or PhilCan. Volunteer interest has been expressed by members of these organizations, with any individuals who meet NNCR's criteria also being directed to them. The broader community response has also been amazing. We held our first coat drive in May with the collection bin at Arts Forward, said Milligan. I was expecting to come clear it out maybe once a week, but it hadn't even been out for 48 hours before Yvonne called and said the bin is full. I think the first 4 days she called me every day to let me know it was full. It was truly amazing. It brought in 80 donated coats. Anyone wishing to get involved as a volunteer with the NNCR are asked to fill out the application that has been made available via their social media. Those who wish to donate a coat are also welcome to do so, as bins are currently out for their September coat drive at Arts Forward and the Prairie Alliance Church. Appointments for a coat pickup can be made via email at neepawancr@gmail.com or the NNCR's social media. Monetary or coat donations can also be made via these methods or via a designated coat drive. So anyone with some extra coats hanging around that aren't being used, especially, take it to Arts Forward or the PAC Church. Biking for MS at Riding Mountain. A fundraising event for MS took place in Riding Mountain on September the 9th with over 100 riders participating. Here we have pictured Jason Lowen from Neepawa. He took a moment at the Moon Lake rest stop to get this photo taken. At this halfway point, Jason planned to complete the longer ride to Northgate. And pictured here we have JP Soldavilla, Chantel Braun, and Jen Navaska, representing Fueled by Hemp, Manitoba Harvest Hemp Foods, photographed at the Moon Lake rest stop before continuing to Northgate and returning to Elkhorn Riding Adventures, a total of 110 kilometers. And here's another fundraiser. Walk With Us campaign returns for 4th annual fundraiser by Casper Werhan. Area residents are once again being invited to walk for a cause. The Walk With Us campaign is returning to Neepawa for its 4th year on Sunday, September 24th. The campaign raises funds for the Manitoba Down Syndrome Society, or MDSS, and is the only walk for this cause located outside of Winnipeg. This year's walk will once again take place at the Langford Walking Trails, located 6 miles east of Neepawa on Highway 16 and 3 miles south on Road 81. The walk will begin at 3 p.m. We had a tremendous round of support from the community last year, said Kathy Jasnick, Langford Recreational Trails representative. There were over 80 people out, and together we raised approximately $4,000. Maureen Cox added, "We're really looking forward to doing it again this year. Down syndrome is a genetic condition caused by an extra chromosome. It is estimated that about 1 in every 800 babies in Canada has Down syndrome. The MDSS provides ongoing support, information, and opportunities for individuals with Down syndrome, parents, professionals, and other interested persons. The Walk With Us campaign is near and dear to the hearts of the Cox family, who organize it each year. Will and Brandy Cox, youngest son Logan, was born and diagnosed with Down syndrome 4 years ago. All funds are being raised via donation. Anyone wishing to lend a hand to the cause can do so via walkwithus.ca/campaigns/team-logan/. Everyone is welcome to attend and participate. We'll be having hot dogs and drinks supplied after the walk again this year too. And here's a picture of 2 fellows. Neepawa UCT contributes to hospital fund. Neepawa UCT Council President 924 President Jason Nadeau presented a check of $100 to Mayor Brian Headley, who accepted on behalf of the town of Neepawa recently. The check was presented in honor of Regional UCT President Linda Lidster's visit to their recent council meeting. The monetary donation itself is in benefit to the new hospital fund. And here we have another fundraiser. It's called Fuel Good Day. 10 cents per liter will be donated to Neepawa Handy Van and Little Pirates Children's Center. So it's going to be at the Neepawa Co-op Gas Bar on 50 Main Street East. The barbecue will be from 10:30 a.m. till 1:30 p.m. $5 for chips, drink, and a burger. Also at the Gladstone Co-op Gas Bar at Highway 16 and 34 Junction. Same thing, there'll be a barbecue at Gladstone Co-op Food Store from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. $5 for chips, drink, and a hot dog. And this all takes place on September the 19th. All right, now to our sports pages. Neepawa Titans Briley Wood tries out with Colorado Avalanche. Here is a picture of him in his Titans uniform last year. Neepawa Titans forward Briley Wood was named to the Colorado Avalanche roster ahead of the 6-team rookie face-off tournament in Las Vegas next week. Wood began the 2022-23 season in the Western Hockey League with Winnipeg Ice, where he spent 9 games before being sent back to the MJHL. He would go on to suit up for 39 games in a Titans uniform, where he was named an MJHL first-team All-Star after scoring 19 goals and 38 assists. The native of Rivers, Manitoba, earned a recall to the Winnipeg Ice for 4 regular season games before playing in 19 playoff games, where he added 3 goals and 1 assist on their run to the WHL's Championship Series. Wood is set to join the Wenatchee Wild in the WHL for his final year of junior eligibility. this isn't sports, but the provincial election candidate Jody Byram opens the Neepawa office. Joining Jody Byram at the opening of her election campaign office at 361 Mountain Avenue in downtown Neepawa was MLA Eileen Clark, Donna Kalamba, campaign volunteer, Jody Byram, the PC candidate, Sherry Francis, campaign volunteer, Brian Headley, official agent, and Deb Stewart, volunteer coordinator. Swan Valley hunts down victory against Neepawa at RMFL season open. The Rural Manitoba Football League kicked off its season this past weekend starting September the 8th. Locally, a clash between the Neepawa and Swan Valley Tigers was the feature event. After a rigorous game, Swan Valley took home the win, ending their first game of the season with a score of 57-28. Here we have a pair of Neepawa Tigers team members exercise their defensive muscles and attempt to take down the Swan Valley Tigers runner. And here pictured, defense switches to offense as the Neepawa Tigers work to push past their Swan Valley counterparts. Heschuk wins the race, the North Face, 25 kilometers, by Ken Waddell. Daniel Heschuk of Neepawa set a new course record of 1 hour, 34 minutes, and 52 seconds at the race, the North Face event over the past weekend. Heschuk ran in the 25-kilometer category. Patricia Roney also set a new course record at 1 hour, 53 minutes and 12 seconds in the women's 25-kilometer race. A race spokesman said the new course records for both women and men are actually mind-blowing. Seeing this kind of talent at a Manitoba race is phenomenal. I expect these records to stand for a long time. In the under 10-kilometer female race, Haley Morrisseau of Portage set a new course record of 46 minutes and 26 seconds. So here we have a picture of Daniel Heschuk and his girlfriend, Haley Morrisseau, both setting records in their respective races at the North Face race. And the Neepawa Titans hockey team home opener is slated for September the 23rd by Ken Waddell. The Neepawa Titans are in the midst of their preseason schedule as of print deadline date. The opening preseason game took place September the 5th in Dauphin, where two mostly rookie teams battled it out. Dauphin outshot Neepawa 65-26, but Neepawa still managed a 2-1 victory in a shootout. On September 6th, Cam River Fighting Walleye visited Neepawa, and the visitors came away with a 4-2 win based on an empty net goal. On September the 8th, Neepawa traveled to Wayway, where the home team prevailed 3-0. On September 9th, Wayway came back to Neepawa and dominated the first two periods, but Neepawa battled back in the third, but still fell 6-3. Scoring for Neepawa were Carl Weisgarber, Jack Arnold, and Mason Hartley. The Neepawa Titans round out their preseason schedule with a game September the 14th at Portage and a 7:00 p.m. home game against Portage on September the 16th. The home opener will take place on September 23rd against Portage at the Yellowhead Center in Neepawa. Boston Pizza is the game's sponsor and will be serving pizza slices, so watch social media for more details on that. Pre-game live music is being planned, and player introductions will take place before the puck drop. Game time is 7:30. On the trade front, the Neepawa Titans have traded Parker Corman to Wayway for Keenan Skrupa, Dawson Andrews, and future considerations. Corman is from Killarney and had played 2 seasons with the Titans. The Titans have acquired defenseman Alex Cordero from the Niverville Nighthawks in exchange for a 2024 draft pick and a player development fee. In a separate deal, the Titans have also acquired forward Dylan Schrader from the Verdun Oil Capitals for a 4th round pick in the 2024 draft. So hopefully we get a good turnout for the home opener. That will be very exciting. Here we have a little picture here. It says a concrete surprise for KK2. Land is switching hands in downtown Neepawa. This time it's parking lots. The site of the former Resource Center on Davidson Street, owned by KK2 Assisted Living, is up for sale. To replace that lot, KK2 bought the parking lot behind Red Apple. KK2 spokesman Grant Lucan said, "That lot was part of the Hamilton Hotel parcel and we bought it." The Hamilton Hotel burned down many years ago. Lucan got a nice surprise, as when they asked P. Baker Backhoe to move the dirt off the surface and develop it as a parking lot, they found it was already paved. The pavement is about 6 inches thick on that lot. That will make it a lot easier and cheaper to set up the new lot, which will also have a green space for residents to enjoy. Huge concrete Lego-style blocks were arranged around the perimeter to shore up the edge of the lot. High Life deepens investment in Manitoba with the opening of new global headquarters, submitted by High Life Limited. High Life, Canada's leading pork producer, marks the official relocation of its headquarters to Steinbach. The move is a significant milestone in the company's journey, spanning an impressive 462 square feet. The new High Life headquarters is situated in the Millbrook Market development, strategically located in the heart of Steinbach. This is more than a building. It is a new home and anchor for High Life that we hope will become a community landmark, said Grant Lazarek, President and Chief Executive Officer of High Life. After several years envisioning, planning, and building, we look forward to settling in and collaborating in this world-class space. Steinbach's mayor, Earl Funk, was on hand to celebrate the grand opening and is confident that this move will give the city an economic boost. We anticipate that the opening of this state-of-the-art facility will influence other large businesses to move here, further solidifying Steinbach as a center for high-tech agribusiness opportunities. With High Life's operations having the international scope, we look forward to this opening bringing Steinbach recognition not only at the local table, but at the global table as well, shared Funk. Rural Manitoba's construction industry is also feeling the positive impact. High Life prioritized homegrown partnerships throughout the project. Three-Way Builders and Penn Light were responsible for construction and electric/mechanical work, while Manitoba's Sibonelle Architecture oversaw the design. A remarkable aspect that stood out was High Life's profound dedication to nurturing the local economy. An astounding majority, over 2/3 of the project, was skillfully executed by gifted local tradespeople and suppliers. This profound alignment with the community echoes the deep-rooted values of High Life, exemplified not just through their presence at local events, but as an organic extension of their core belief in enriching their communities, said Nick Thiessen, president of Three-Way Builders. Sustainability was also key in the construction of the headquarters, with various eco-friendly features integrated into its design. The 4-story structure maximizes natural light thanks to a full south facing wall adorned with over 10,817 square feet, about twice the area of a basketball court, of reflective low E glass. The building incorporates energy-efficient walls and materials and electric vehicle charging stations, encouraging sustainable transportation. The hydronic HVAC system provides optimal employee temperature comfort. Witnessing High Life's unwavering commitment to excellence, we were truly inspired by the meticulous attention given to crafting a cutting-edge, comfortable, and professional environment that focused on their team needs and success, shared Thiessen. High Life's dedication to employee well-being and collaboration is evident throughout the building. Each employee's workspace offers a connection to nature, with window views of a retention pond and landscaped area. Additionally, the headquarters boasts collaboration spaces, coffee stations conveniently located on every station, and a 2,000 square foot fitness center for employees and their families to use. To commemorate this momentous occasion, High Life has released a special time-lapse video that captures the entire construction process. With its modern design, eco-friendly features, and focus on employee well-being, the headquarters sets the stage for a new era of success and innovation for High Life. What a historic moment for our community as we celebrate the opening of the brand new High Life headquarters right here in Steinbach, Earl Funk said, Mayor of the city of Steinbach. Our company's roots are in Manitoba, so it makes sense to give an opportunity to local businesses. More than 2/3 of the tradespeople that built our new High Life headquarters are directly from the Steinbach area. We are proud of this rural collaboration, said Kevin Barkman, Senior VP Infrastructure and Environmental Affairs of High Life. The majority of our hog production operations are located close to home. Southern Manitoba, where High Life began in 1994, hosts many of our barns, three feed mills, transportation fleet hub, and corporate head office. Our flagship pork plant in Neepawa, Manitoba, has been designed to meet robust and stringent specifications for global customers. Hog production operations also span into eastern Saskatchewan, as do genetics and R&D programs in Quebec. High Life is a fully integrated producer of premium pork. Founded in 1994 in southeast Manitoba, the company operates feed, barn, fleet, and pork plant facilities in Canada. High Life has 2,500 employees and produces 3.4 million hogs annually. Okay, well, we'll go back. To our perspectives pages. First, I'll read Homebodies by Rita Friesen. It's entitled, Sometimes Silver, Sometimes Gray, Always Sun Not Far Away. Lines from a song of the 70s, Joy is Like the Rain, by the Medical Mission Sisters, pretty much sum up my past week. Several weeks ago, my partner fell and compressed a couple of discs in his lower back. This has involved a hospital stay with excellent medical and support staff, with a steep learning curve for me. And just the very day we schedule a meeting to set up a plan for him to come home, he suffers a serious setback. Again, medical and support staff are wonderful, and family stands up and is counted. A little sunshine and a little gray. The past weekend's highlight was a family wedding. This was a brilliant, shiny silver. I was surrounded by family and friends, sister, son and family, grandchildren and great-grandchildren, nieces and sundry extended family members. So much love and laughter, great food and family stories. Magical. One grandson didn't make it to the celebration. Traveling from northern Alberta to Neepawa, he made it all the way to Minnedosa before laying his bike on its side. We are so thankful that he was so close to family at this end of the trip, rather than halfway between here and there. He is in hospital, some injuries, and will be released to our care before too long. That was the gray combating the silver, and it was a dark, gloomy, and pervasive cloud. So much of ordinary life is that contrast, the silver and the gray, the sunshine and shadows, the great and the not so great. It is natural to desire all sunshine and roses. It is not realistic, though, to expect that. From my observations of human nature, it is easy to highlight and dwell on the tough times. This is not conducive to great mental health. The most contented folks I have found are the ones who are thankful for all the good things, the blessings in their life. I know a number of people who maintain a gratitude journal, liberally writing down the things for which they are thankful. Sometimes the best thing in a day may be that first cup of coffee. If that also applies to your life, then savor that coffee. One of the reasons that I enjoy walking is that every day, even if I am on the same trail, I can see something new, something I did not notice the other day, or perhaps something that really wasn't there the day before. I can see silver in the leaves turning color. I can see silver in the carpet of acorns on the trail, the insistent call of the geese in the evening sky. All silver that combats the gray of declining health, stress, and anxiety. Sunshine and shadows. I recognize anew that nature has aced this winter rest for plants, a seed sequestered in darkness until the right time to emerge. It's easy to look at a period of darkness as never ending. May I always have the faith and the hope to wait for the return of the sunshine. Looking for Answers by Ken Waddell, right in the center. Disclaimer: the views expressed in this column are the writer's personal views and not to be taken as being the view of the Banner and Press staff. There is a huge uproar in rural Manitoba about emergency rooms, and rightly so. The closure of emergency rooms may not be the government's fault, regardless of party. There is a shortage of rural doctors, period. Without doctors, you can't have an emergency room. Why do we not have enough doctors? I have heard some of these answers. For whatever reason, we have not educated enough doctors in Manitoba. Foreign-trained doctors often don't want to stay in rural Manitoba. Even Manitoba-trained doctors don't always want to live in rural Manitoba. We have trained too many 9-to-5 specialists instead of GPs. There are doctors in large centers who aren't doing all that well because there isn't enough work, I am told. There are also too few patients in some smaller centers for a doctor to make a living. It's sad, but many towns are still shrinking in population, and a doctor's practice needs numbers to survive. It has been reported that there are 20,000 foreign-trained doctors and 30,000 foreign-trained nurses in Canada that have not been certified yet. There's something wrong with that process. Both the federal government and the provinces must get that backlog cleared. A writer could fill books about why rural communities shrink. In fact, many books have been written on the topic. Basically, people are always looking for bigger and better places to live. After World War II, the returning U.S. rural servicemen demanded, "Build us roads and they will come." The government answered the challenge and built thousands of miles of roads, and they left. They happened in Manitoba too. If even a small portion of the people who left rural Manitoba had made the decision to stay, we would today have a lot stronger rural economy. Large urban areas don't contain all the glory they pretend to have, nor what many provincial rural people believe they will achieve. It has always been a mystery to me why there has been such a flocking to urban areas. For my generation, and for generations before me, people left rural areas. Life seemed easier in the city, and in many ways it was. Hydro didn't come to the farms until 1949, so electric lights did not exist. Radios ran on expensive batteries. There wasn't much for electric heating. Our farm home went from a wood-fired furnace and cook stove to an oil furnace and eventually electric heat. Running water depended on how fast you ran it from the well to the house or barn. Water for washing people or clothes was carried in and carried out. Toilets were primitive, to say the least. Life-easing facilities were certainly an incentive to leave the farm. But so much has changed. Water, sewer, home heating, pretty much the same everywhere. Well, except maybe some First Nations communities, and that is a problem long ignored by government. There are many good jobs outside of the cities and some very good options for food services and entertainment. So why do people still flock to the cities where crime and poverty are on the rise, usually much faster than rural areas? Well, you tell me, as I would love to hear about it. The decline of many small communities is a major problem, and especially in the supply of medical services. Small communities need more people, and there are many roadblocks. Zoning and building codes are too strict, for example. Some municipalities lack vision and often the skilled staff to build a progressive community. Available capital is artificially scarce for small-scale manufacturing and food production. We throw out thousands of tons of food every summer due to a lack of processing, handling, and storage facilities. Silly example, perhaps, but if all tomatoes grown in Manitoba were canned or frozen, a lot less tomatoes would be imported. Rural Manitoba growth is hindered for all of the above reasons and perhaps many more. The above is admittedly a rambling mixture of cause and effect, but it's up to all people across the province to make improvements. Faithfully Yours by Neil Stroshine. This week his article is entitled The Truth That Sets Us Free, Part 1. The Jewish religious leaders were on a mission. 2 months earlier, they had finally rid themselves of a teacher from Nazareth named Jesus, or so they thought. They had used false accusations, false witnesses, bribery, and extortion to force Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor, to order Jesus' crucifixion. And when they knew that he had died and that his body had been sealed in its tomb, they breathed a collective sigh of relief. But 3 days later, they were told that the seal on the tomb had been broken and that Jesus' body was no longer there. Theirs was a classic response. His disciples will say that he had risen from the dead, those religious leaders said. But we are not going to let them get away with saying that. After more lies, more bribes, and a huge publicity campaign, they convinced the general public that Jesus' disciples had broken into his tomb, stolen his body, buried it somewhere else, and were now claiming he was alive. But now these religious leaders had another problem. 120 followers of Jesus, energized by the Holy Spirit that came upon them on the day of Pentecost, were moving through the streets of Jerusalem, telling everyone they met that Jesus was alive. What's more, the people they spoke to were believing that message, turning from their sins, putting their faith in Jesus Christ, and being baptized as a sign of their faith in him. But they didn't stop there. As Acts 2, verse 42 tells us, these new believers devoted themselves to the apostles' teaching, to fellowship, to breaking of bread, and to prayers. So radical were the changes in the lives of these new believers that many of their family members, friends, and neighbors also became believers. And as each day passed, the Jewish religious leaders saw their power and influence diminish as people turned their back on their old ways and embraced the spiritual freedom they found through faith in Jesus Christ. One would expect these religious leaders would fight back, and they did. They arrested Peter and John and put them in jail overnight. The next day, they hauled them before one of their religious courts and ordered them to deny stop denying their official explanation of the empty tomb and Jesus' missing body. Peter and John were not to be deterred. They looked these religious leaders in the eye and said, "We must share what we have seen and heard." Peter and John were not spreading lies when they talked of Jesus' resurrection. They knew he was alive. They had seen him on numerous occasions over 40 days. They had spent many hours talking with him. They had shared meals with him, and they knew of more than 500 people who, like them, had seen, spoken with, and shared meals with the risen Christ. Peter and John had something that the Jewish religious leaders didn't have. They had the truth about Jesus' resurrection. It was truth that they had verified and upon which they were prepared to take their integrity, their ministries, and if necessary, their lives. I wonder how many followers of Jesus in today's world would be prepared to stand up as they did and defend truths about which they were absolutely certain. Perhaps I should ask these questions: are there truths about which we can be absolutely certain? I believe there are such truths, and these are truths that can set us and our nation free from bondage to ideas that are destroying us. So more on that next week. All right. We don't have a lot of time left, so the last part that I'll read is looking back. Firstly, 125 years ago, September 14th, 1898, there was a strong demand for ginseng and Seneca root in Minneapolis. Peter McIntyre has made a threshing record for the season. On Saturday last, he threshed 1,926 bushels in 10 hours. It is understood a proposition is to be made to the town council to reduce Davidson Street from 99 to 66 feet. The property owners on the south side of that street offer to buy from the town the 33 feet from which they consider is now lying waste and pay taxes on it, provided, of course, the town will accept a reasonable price for it. As Davidson Street is not a main thoroughfare, a width of 66 feet is ample, and no doubt the council will readily accept the offer proposed, particularly as it means for all time to come an increase of revenue and decrease of expense in the maintenance of the roadway. 100 years ago, a farmer near Burnie has figured out his threshing at 40 cents a bushel and the grade of his wheat at about 60 cents. In Kelwood, the Japanese Earthquake Relief Fund, under the auspices of the Canadian Red Cross, is being handled locally at the Sterling Bank. Anyone wishing to contribute towards the relief of the earthquake sufferers through Red Cross channels may leave their contributions in the local bank, Mr. Fox having kindly consented to forward same to the proper authorities. Also in Kelwood, the chemical fire engine recently ordered for Kelwood Village arrived in town on Wednesday, and for the present is parked at Grasby's livery barn. That was 100 years ago. 75 years ago, September 16th, 1948, Neepawa Town Council went on record Friday night as unanimously supporting the events of the Trans-Canada Highway Association system in their efforts to have the federal government build a hard-surfaced highway across the Dominion. The Yellowhead route, favored by the association, was also endorsed by this council members. This route passes through Neepawa, Saskatoon, Edmonton, and Jasper. I'm taking that's the number 16 highway, Yellowhead Highway. 50 years ago, September 13th, 1973, paving of streets in the new housing development area east of the Yellowhead Centre began Tuesday morning. The Royal Canadian Legion Hall, Neepawa, was the scene of a happy occasion Saturday evening, September 1st, when well-known Neepawa residents, Mr. and Mrs. Roy Rush, were hosts to many friends and relatives to mark their golden wedding anniversary. Construction began last week on the new 56-unit apartment building for senior citizens on the site of the old sports arena. which is still there. And lastly, 20 years ago, September 15th, 2003, Mayor Bob Durston joined officials, including Manitoba Premier Gary Dewar, Deputy Prime Minister John Manley, North Dakota Governor John Hoeven, and U.S. Ambassador Paul Selassie at the ceremony at the International Peace Gardens last Thursday. The ceremony was in remembrance of the terrorist attacks in New York, Pennsylvania, and Washington, D.C. on September 11th, 2001. Ruth McDonald accompanied her sister and brother-in-law Phyllis and Don Harvey of Pipestone to Toulon in July to help Ruth and Phyllis's sister and brother-in-law May and Roar Hui celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary. Well, there we have it. That is it for the reading of this week's edition of the Neepawa Banner and Press. So thank you for joining me and the staff here at the Neepawa Banner and Press. Thank you for joining me, and hopefully we'll see you another day. So goodbye for now.